Alrighty guys, welcome back to another video. It's Austin Davis. In this video, I'm super excited to host Scott Young, who's the owner of Certified Lights out of Dallas, Texas, which is a holiday lighting company where last year they were able to do $1.6 million in holiday lighting, which is absolutely unprecedented type of stuff. Landing big accounts like Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, Dallas Love, and even big names like Jerry Jones and Troy Aikman. In this video, we're going to go over how he got started, new guy tips and tricks, how he scaled to over $1 million a year, and much more. Now, guys, Scott is also putting on his in-person holiday lighting class February 21st and 22nd in Dallas, Texas. It's a 2-day class, the same one that I took last September, which was a big reason we were able to do $61,000 in our first year this past season. And for my channel alone, he's bringing the price from $995 all the way down to $199 when you use my discount code, which you can apply on his website. I'll leave all that information down below in the description. Of course, guys, make sure you drop a comment down below and hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers this year, which would just be an absolute blessing. But without further ado, buckle up and let's get this thing started. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's Austin Davis. I am super excited for this video. I think you guys are gonna get a lot of value from this. I have Scott Young, who is the CEO and founder of Certified Lights out of Dallas, Texas. They are a holiday lighting installation company who's been in business for the last 20 years, and they've done $1.6 million last year and have had very easy success hitting that 7-figure mark year after year over the last couple of years. So I'm super excited to have you, Scott. Welcome to the channel. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, this holiday lighting stuff has kind of took the service industry by storm more recently. I know you've been in the game for a long time, so you've kind of, seen the ups and downs and whatnot. But I feel like very recently, maybe since 2021 is really where I kind of caught on to this with the yard signs, with the videos on YouTube, with Instagram and Facebook ads. Funny enough, that's how I found you guys. People are starting to get really serious about holiday lights. So I'm excited for this video. In this video, guys, I'm hoping to kind of break down exactly, if you guys are brand new to this video, we're going to talk about exactly what is holiday lighting, what that kind of looks like. How can you go out there and get you guys your own holiday lighting projects? We'll get into how exactly, and I'm very interested in this, how exactly Scott and his company were able to get to that $1.5 million number, which for holiday lighting, guys, obviously we're talking about really a 3-month window of Christmas lights, maybe Halloween to January. It's a pretty short amount of time to get a lot of work in. So I'm very excited to launch into that. And then we'll talk about a little bit about what you guys got going on at Certified. Because I understand you guys put on some awesome classes, which is what I attended in September. We'll talk a little bit about that and how, if you guys are interested in learning about Christmas lights, how you guys can get a hold of one of the certified classes that are having one in February, which will end of February, which we'll talk about. But let's kind of launch into holiday lighting. Scott, can you kind of tell me, holiday lighting, how is that something that you guys kind of dove into there?
Well, we had a pest control company, and every year we were having to lay off. Even in Dallas, it gets cold, a little cold in the winter, and you have to lay folks off. So we were laying folks off, or if you're a single operator, you have 50 employees, you can't have downtime. You can't just go 3 or 4 months without the same revenue you've been generating. Something's got to give. And so we were looking for a gap filler for that time period. And what I kept seeing out there was Christmas lights. And, I had my doubts about it, but the more I researched, the more I thought, man, this could be a really good filler for us in that time frame. What I liked most about it was the growth that was happening, the revenue potential, but also the margin out of it. It wasn't just filling time; it was making money during that time. So it started. So we dove into it. We started getting really aggressive with it, and it just started compounding annually. Like any business, if you are really customer focused, it can be a reoccurring revenue business. We just got 90% of our customers back every year.
Wow.
And so it wasn't like just one time every year. We really started growing that over time. It went from, small residential, bigger residential, commercial mix. And that's what eventually got us to the, 6-figure, 7-figure revenue stream, and eventually up to the 1.5 million. And it's work, but the growth is just tremendous in this industry and continuing.
Yeah, so I kind of caught on to this on YouTube back in 2022. I'd say 2021, 2022. I was talking to some friends about it, said, and if you guys are watching my channel, and a lot of you guys are probably into pressure washing. I understand if you maybe clicked on this video, maybe this will be your brand new service business. You're just trying to figure out how to go out there and make money on a certain period of the year. But for most people watching my channel, we do pressure washing. And for the longest time, I was like, man, I don't want to be kind of diving into all kinds of new stuff. I want to nail pressure washing. And then it just got to the point where I seen just how many people do holiday lighting, and it just seems to solve problems in a lot of service businesses, year to year financials and just headaches and stuff. Like for us, winter's a problem. We're slow, landscaping in the winter. There's no grass. Several other, plug and play. You just mentioned pest control. I have a pest control company. They come every quarter, but like even with the holiday lighting, I can imagine if you own a pest control company that to slide that work in at that point of the year. Maybe some people aren't thinking about pest control in the winter because the rodents aren't really coming in the winter like I would imagine they
Yeah.
are in the spring. So it seems to solve problems. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think one thing any business owner wants to do or should want to do is grow, right?
Yeah,
And so, long before Christmas lights, we added uh, lawn care, fertilization, weed control. We added rodent control. We would go in and seal holes around a house. We added insulation. So we were a growing company, but even in pest control, you think it's quarterly, but 20% of our revenue was one time, mainly in customers in the summer. They got ants, they got roaches. They want us to come out and solve that one problem, and then they're done.
that's
So
exactly what happened
that
to
all
me.
falls off in the winter. And
Yeah,
so you have those gaps, and no matter what business you're in, like you were saying, this isn't just window cleaning or pest control, even service. It can be somebody that has a regular job and wants to add some revenue stream to their personal income during those months. It's, not everyone's going to succeed in this. We've talked about this offline and together. You have to want to have drive. You have to be organized. The thing that got me to $1.5 million, honestly, is I took a 1 week class. I spent $5,000 and they taught me every aspect of their Christmas light business. Our first year, we did $140,000 in Christmas light revenue.
wow.
I mean, you saw the think about that in 3 months. It was crazy. We were a larger company, so we're able to do that. I'm not saying everybody can go out and do that. You might just go out and do 5 houses or 10 houses. But if you can do $10,000 in revenue and you're an individual person as a full-time job and you make $3,000 or $4,000 in November, you can get some pretty good Christmas presents or pay off some bills for your family. So this ranges the whole spectrum of folks and what their needs are, what their desires are, what their
Right.
interests are in building either personal income on that basis of I have a job and want some extra, or you're a growing uh, company that's already successful and been in business for 10 to 15 years and have 20 or 30 or 50 employees. You can really throw the gasoline on the fire in those situations, which is what we did to get to, 7 figures. It's not, again, not for everybody, but the whole gamut's there for what your goals are and
Okay.
taking on Christmas lights.
Yeah,
The fact is that it's a growing, it's exploding industry, and
it
it's
is.
expanding beyond just the rich, the middle, upper income, or even just
Yeah,
getting
they're
roof
starting to
lights
do it.
done.
Yeah, they're starting to do it. And I'm
Want to get on
seeing.
roofs, and people are getting older, and they just,
Mhm.
it makes a lot of sense. You can pay even $500, and you can do 10 $500 houses in a day, teach, and you can have a $5,000 revenue day. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
you know what I think part of it is for me, the baby boomers or who are the do-it-yourselfers a lot of the times are getting older and they're kind of taking a step back. A lot of these people that I grew up with, like my dad, baby boomer, like when I was a kid, no one paid anyone to do anything. Everyone mowed their own lawn, everyone did their own thing. We did all that growing up too. Now no one's doing that. And now here comes all these service companies. So I do think that has something to do with it.
Times are changing for sure because I can tell you my biggest regret about Christmas lights is it took me 2 years to get started because I was the guy who said, who's going to pay $500 to install Christmas lights? And I've got customers now that pay
Yeah, so
tens,
a
twenty
a
thousand
little
dollars.
bit of a, asking yourself a question like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yep,
if you
exactly.
guys are brand new to this and you guys are watching this video, let's just kind of talk about what we're talking about here because holiday lighting, like what does that exactly mean? Sometimes if you're watching this video, there's gonna be people here that probably don't know what we're talking about. Holiday lighting, we're talking Christmas lights. Most people, at least where I grew up, they start to put up these Christmas lights in October, November timeframe, maybe even sooner or later. But the fact of the matter is, we're talking about putting lights up on roofs, and you guys do several other things. You guys do bushes, garland, reefs, and I've seen you guys a lot of you guys' videos and pictures. It's my understanding that you guys actually do Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. You guys have contracts with the DFW Airport, Dallas Love, which is super super cool. I'm sure we might include some pictures here on this video. But if you guys are brand new, we're talking about how the business model works. And actually, I'm going to ask you how. how the business model works. Why don't you go ahead and, it's the customer pays for a certain setup. They, you guys install it, you maintain it, you take it down. Do you want to kind of break down how that works?
Yeah, I think that's a good kind of begin with the end of the mind kind of discussion we should have for all the audience out there is what is Christmas light installation? Just like I discussed briefly about your revenue goals, your business goals, if you get into Christmas lights, there's a whole wide gamut of how you can do it. And depending on your market, you may be in a market that doesn't have a lot of wealth, and you can say my target or my um, goals in the Christmas site is just to do roof lines. We like to do our personal is a full, we call it all inclusive package. So we design uh, for the customer, we install it, we maintain it, we take it down, we inspect everything and make sure it's 100% like new before it goes back out in the field and it reinstalls. That way we can tell the customer, you just pay one price every year and you get the same design. And within our program, you can change colors. We'll alternate. If you just had all warm white one year, we can do red and white. We can change to multicolor. And it gives that flexibility for the customer, and they like that. Fortunately, most of the time they don't. They just keep the same design, which is much more profitable than changing it out. So, but the reality is there's all kind of programs out there. Some people go install the customer's lights all the way to what we do, and that's the all inclusive. We teach, train, and suggest the further you go towards all inclusive, the higher your margins are. The lower you go to, I'm just going to go install your lights. Someone else can take it down. They're your lights. That's kind of the lower end of the options, but you can go all the way across that gamut of what you want your program to be. The one thing I would suggest for anybody getting into this business is get training. Our company offers it, but you don't, I'm not going to push that on you. I would just say there's a lot of companies out there training. Find one, even if it's not the best. Of course, we think we're the best, but some training is going to help you get off on the right foot. Because if you get, say, 5 customers or 30 customers, those customers are gold. You had to go out and market them, get them. And next year, you want those customers coming back. And all you have to do is do a good job, and most of them will come back. Now, there's some that just want to do it one year. Most people that get into Christmas lights, they like it. They don't even like it. Most customers that do and pay for Christmas lights, they love Christmas. That's why they're willing to pay that money, and they want that, and they almost always expand upon it if you start small. So, uh, again, the Christmas light installation business is anywhere from putting up lights to doing this full gamut that you had mentioned. We do wreaths, garland, we do a full. We try to design a full package for each home, and then our
Yeah.
proposals are line itemized, and they can kind of pick and choose off of a design picture we have and the proposal that's line itemized and decide kind of what they want, what they can afford from that package. It
Okay.
makes
So
it very
giving them
easy for the
different.
customer and or
Mhm.
go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say giving them different package options. That's a strategy that a lot of I've seen a lot of sales companies use. You don't want to just throw out one price because then if the customer doesn't like it, they feel like they can't be your customer. If you give them three different tiers and whatnot, which is I think we actually got that from y'all's training. I believe I thought I heard Ashley mention it. We just do the ridge line, and then we can do I'm sorry, the edges of the home, then the edges, and then the ridges, and then that's like our two package, and then our three package would be the edges, the ridges, and maybe some bushes and some trees. Kind of give them a different, depending on their price range. And we did that with every single customer. And so it was our first year. We went to your class in September, and so you're talking about training. If you guys are brand new and you guys think kind of like pressure washing, where with pressure washing, window cleaning, you can go out there and do a job and run a squeegee on a window and probably do a pretty good job. With holiday lighting, I was super ignorant to holiday lighting, and I knew that with all the stuff involved, I needed to go to the training. So that was super beneficial. It was one day in the classroom learning all about the sales, the business, the whole business side of it, and then the day two was the actual installation where we spent a whole day at your house actually, and I was on your roof, and we were doing the whole long song and dance with bushes, trees, houses, and all that good stuff. Yeah, I do find that it's a really good product to sell, and I find that with customers, and I'm curious to know about your pricing. It's kind of what I want to get into next is y'all's pricing model, because what we did, we charged a certain price, and then what we're doing for next year. So let's say like for this past year, we went and did a house for that was $1,000 light job. We actually told that customer that because we've already bought the lights and we already have the setup and everything's already put down neatly. We don't need to open up boxes and all this brand new equipment. Everything's already done for you, and we understand that house. We're going to charge 15% less the next year. And so I feel like that kind of helped us say, hey, look, like, if you want to get into this year, the next year's will be cheaper, and you'll just be locked down at a set rate. I understand you guys kind of have like a one stop one rate, which is actually like pretty impressive. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you do your
Yeah, yeah.
pricing?
And I think like everything in business, I've already mentioned a couple times of the whole gamut of stuff. The pricing models are wide and varied. Also, 20 years when we first got into this in 2007, I think that math is right, or 2006. 90% of the models were, well, majority were just take people's lights and install them. But the ones who were more professional and had what I call a real program, it was sell model. So they would sell the lights to the customer and charge 50% year two. Well, in our program, one of the things we do is we show you our P&L down to the line items of all of our expenses, and your product cost should be around 9 to 12% over time. Because with our model, you don't give the lights to the customer; you're leasing them in essence. You're keeping. We don't talk about leasing or sell. It's just an all-inclusive model. So if that customer decides after 2 or 3 years they're not coming back, you take those products and you just use them on another customer. So
Mm,
your product costs start out like this, and then after 2 or 3 years, they start to drop off, and that's when your cash flow just starts coming in like crazy. And that's when we suggest if you're not getting a 30% net margin, you're not doing the business right. And most service businesses are in the 12 to 15% range if you're
right.
good. And so Christmas lights is also very profitable. So over that time frame, and we were trained 20 years ago to do a full service model, and I've seen 90% that were the opposite. They just charge that 50%. It's completely reversed. I would say at least 70 or 80% now are all doing that full service model because the math just works out. I've looked at it every different way on Excel spreadsheets, and there's no way that the other model will make you more money over time.
Okay.
Um, there's always that perception of, well, the other guy is doing that 50% off in the model. You're talking about discounting year two, but most people you go to are not haven't had Christmas lights before. They may get some other bids, but like anything, if you're a salesperson, 90% of the sell is in you, not what you're
Right.
offering. And so
Right.
if you go in confidence, I can offset every argument someone has on the sales model of changing lights. You're going to have to go if lights go bad, where are you going to get the lights? You got to go buy them. Are they paying for them? Are we paying for them? Are the same match? You want to change colors, you got to go rebuy lights. With our program, you don't have to do that. So we've developed it to offset a lot of those concerns and create more convenience for customers, that because more and more, like you said, times are changing. It's all about convenience. People don't have time. They don't want to go find lights if a strain or two goes out or a bulb on the roof, because who's paying for that and all that. They just want to write a check, give you a credit card, and know that their
Right.
lights are taken care of.
Yeah.
So that's what we've developed. That this is your program. As long as you stay with us, we rarely raise prices. You're going to have this one price. We're going to come back. We can adjust your designs. You get free changes in your design. So we make it where it's very convenient. We're very about focused on the quality of the service. If you have outages and you don't get to them in 24 hours, it's a negative. You have an outage year one, you get to 24 hours, you go change a bulb on a roof, they're going to be wowed. And it's actually a benefit, and encourage them to sign up knowing that, hey, man, I got a company that's awesome. They came out on a Sunday and changed out a light that was out. So it's that kind of mentality and customer service that allows you to create that kind of model.
Yeah, and I'm big on that on my channel too, or at least how when I make videos and I'm trying to show people like what works for us. It's obviously being an authority on Google, right? So I feel like if you own the market, you can almost dictate the price in a sense. But also like if you feel confident in yourself as a salesperson and you look good, smell good, you talk well, and you can make a friend, make a friend, make a sale, that whole thing back, going back when I learned in the car business and whatnot. You can almost kind of overcome anything. So that's interesting. You guys say, one price, if it's $1,000, it's going to be $1,000 year after year after year. One thing I've found,
We focus on, you won't have to pay any more. We make it sound like a benefit. If you lock in this price at $1,200, fifteen
okay,
hundred dollars,
nice.
whatever it is, we're not increasing the
There,
price on it.
it's
It's that
inflation
price, and you get
proof.
a
Yeah.
Right. It
Yeah.
almost like, yeah, that's kind of the, especially nowadays, people listen to the news and they expect inflations. We're going to hold this for 3 years. We're going to hold this for 5 years. If you come at the right price, you don't need to increase it. You've already got their product and your margins are big enough that you
So
don't need to, but you've got to go in and know that you're going to do a quality job.
yeah.
Because if you charge, I'll admit we're at the top of the market. We're not the very highest, but because of our quality and experience and knowledge and size, we can be at the top of the market, but we've got to perform. And if we don't, we've had customers leave because we didn't
Yeah.
do a great job and we had some issues.
Well,
So
let me ask you this: as someone this is my first year doing lights. We did 40 customers, ended up doing $61,000. Uh, One of the things, and if someone's watching this and they're somewhere, they're at my level, what we did last year, or they're far beyond. Um, One of the questions I want to ask. So this is one thing that that I dealt with this last year, and I was our sole salesperson. We took your class in September, sent our first marketing like October 31st. So we had about like 45 days of installing. The one thing that question I got back from my customers when I'm selling is, what happens to the lights? I paid for the lights. Are they my lights? Like, how come they're not my lights? Can I keep my lights? Or why are you going to charge me the same thing again and again? Didn't I pay for the lights the first time? Like that's something that I've had to.
so
So how are you handling that?
so that's that same kind of discussion we were having is in our agreement. We try to keep everything very simple. Our agreement is one page. Occasionally it has to go to 2 pages because they have so many items, but we have eight, it's probably 12 terms and conditions down at the very bottom, very straightforward. We try to keep it straightforward, and one of those is the lights are supplied and owned by certified, so that any replacements of the light the customer doesn't have to pay for.
Oh,
Again, we flip it. So you will never have to pay for any more lights as long, and
oh,
we're not going to
right.
charge
Because if
any
they
more.
own
You keep your
something,
one
why are we
price.
replacing it?
They,
If
they
they own
have
it,
to replace it. You would have to charge them, right? If you bought the lights and then
yeah.
year two, some of them go out. Okay, now you owe $200 for these lights that aren't working. No,
Mm.
we never do that. You're never going to pay for additional lights, changing colors. Now, obviously, if they add a tree or add something, they have to pay for it, add a wreath. But anything you've got from year one to year 10, you never have to pay for
Yeah,
lights
because they're
again.
yours and you can swap them out like that.
And
Wow.
so in general, I tell them every 3 years we're replacing product. That's probably a little stretch. It's probably more like five. Some products go seven if you take care of the products, but there is turnover, and that's why even if you're not growing, you still have a 10 to 12% product cost because you're going to be changing those out, wear and tear. But that's a huge selling point that we've just flipped the script and said, look, those other guys are going to charge you each year. They don't even know if they're going to get the same color. We Ours are very consistent. You change out the colors, and you're never going to pay for lights if you have any
Right.
problems. We're going to replace those year after year and ensure that they're brand new every year. If a wreath doesn't look brand new to you, you let us know. We bring out a brand new one and don't charge you anything.
Gotcha. So
Bows,
that's the benefit
everything.
of owning and leasing it to them versus selling them lights and then having you basically work for the customer in that way where you service a product that you sold them years ago, which can lead to problems. So I'm with you on that. Um,
It's just like in the if it's their lights. We did a couple jobs. We were told not to do it. We couldn't help it. We were starting out, and I'll tell anyone out there, your audience, everything we say today and things I will tell you, it's not concrete because when you're starting out, you got to do things you got to do. You may price lower than you want to. You may have to go install some people's lights. You just got to try to make it the minimal because believe me, the most problematic customers we had over these 20 years were in the very beginning when we use other people's lights. They don't put them out when you've given them three notices a week ahead. We
yeah,
called and sent an email. We
we
called them
don't
that
do that.
morning. You show up with a crew and no lights are there. And now what do you do with your crew?
Yeah,
If you're trained right and you train your guys, because you can come to our training and that's great. You're gonna have a step in the right direction. You're gonna have knowledge, but you got to go out and practice on a few houses, get your feet wet, really know what you're doing when you hit the season. Because a lot of people say I don't need training. It's just Christmas lights. Well, that's like saying I don't need training. It's just window cleaning or pest control
no,
or anything
that'd
else.
be so
There's
ignorant to
so
say.
many
Yeah.
there's so many like hard knocks that you learn that you go, God, I wish I would have had that training. So again, I highly recommend they'll teach you how to store the stuff, how to label it, all the stuff that you're going to need to know to make your business efficient. Will you learn on your own? Sure, but you're going to speed up the process by 2 or 3 years by taking a simple 2 or 3 day training class.
Yeah.
So it's not with me. Take it with somebody is what I would recommend for any
Yeah, or
audience
free
out there.
or free YouTube videos. Look, the point is educate yourself before you go and do
Exactly.
anything. You know, you'd be
Yes.
stupid not to. We're in a time where, everything that's ever been done before is readily available online. It's on videos, it's on books,
Somewhere out there.
it's in there. You can find it. But one thing I kind of want to cycle into is the scale of it. Okay, so someone that's brand new, and one of the questions I want to ask you is, if you were to start all over again today, what would you do differently? I think this will help someone who's maybe like myself, who's in her first year, had some moderate level of success, or someone that's brand new, or maybe someone that's kind of stuck. Which in pressure washing, I find a lot of people are kind of stuck at usually the 150 to 200 to 100 to 200. They can't break that. Can you talk about some of these little idiosyncrasies, I guess, that made you kind of get past those humps?
Yeah. First, Austin, I'd like to say that you weren't mildly successful. $61,000 in your first year is very successful.
Hmm.
I would challenge most people if they can do that. That's impressive. Uh, but it's like any business, when you go from 0 to 100,000, there's certain things you learn. You go from 100 to 250 or 500, or you finally hit the million mark. You're transitioning from being working in the business to on the business, those kind of things. And so, uh, just working through those steps in your growth in your company is what you've got to be cognizant of. And um, I see so many entrepreneurs that are great sales guys or great installers that get stuck in that role. And at some point, you got to get out of that role. I think you and I were talking about this. So part of our sales program is we don't go out to the customer. And I know Austin will tell you he's huge on going out to the customer, and I am too. I totally respect that and understand. In fact, I was telling Austin in my early days, I'd go run around to 10 different customers and be looking at my watch while I'm with the customer because I knew I had the next one. I'd be calling them
Yeah.
back then. I don't know if it was even texting, which ages me. Uh, but nowadays, there's people who just don't want to meet. They're too busy. And if you can provide an efficient, um, robust sales program like we have with a digital picture that we train you how to do that, and you can provide how their house will look with what the decorations are in a proposal that makes sense and very easy to read and choose what you want, then you can do 10 times or 20 times or 30 times the amount of bids you would by going out to the customer. Yes, you're definitely giving up some of that personal touch, but those are the things you've got to adjust. I don't want to say give up on, but because you can still go out to your big leads, but you really have to change your processes on that sales or your teams, giving your team leads more authority to to make decisions, scheduling efficiencies, all those things when you're growing a business that have to improve, continuously improve. And I would say the biggest of all those is processes. You've got to be process oriented. That's one of the things we teach a lot and have a lot in our library of training materials, checklists, how to do things. We color code all of our trailers. We probably got like 8 different teams, and each is color coded. And we stack all their products the day before, so they're ready to go that morning and load out of their color coded area. Just things like that that are going to keep you efficient while you're growing is how you eventually get to the 7 figures and keep it profitable. A lot of people can get to 7 figures, but they're not making any money, right? Just because people grow, that's one of the fallacies out there is, man, they're really getting big or they're growing. But there's a lot of them that aren't making money. You should be making 30% whether you're doing 100,000 or $1 million. So if you're doing $1 million in Christmas lights, you ought to be netting $300,000. And that's not going to happen in the beginning. It's not going to happen in year 1, 2, or 3, either the growth or the net. But by year 3, you should be getting close to 30%. And ongoing, you should be doing a 30% uh, net margin on the business.
Uh-huh.
We've done it. My brother does it in Houston. I know
Wow.
I got customers, partners that do it. So it's not something that can't be done. People say, "Oh, that's not possible." Well, I'm doing it. We clear 30% on our 1.5.
And a lot of these owner operators are great at the actual work. I mean, you have to be because someone's got to do it, right? But they're also great in being, a small business entrepreneur in a sense where they got to that level. The problem is they get stuck there. And what I find as far as pressure washing, if you guys are in pressure washing, you guys know this, that our main worry is no one's going to be able to do it as good as we can do it. And we're afraid to get some other guy on the truck and it's going to lead to problems. Now, with pressure washing, you're dealing with a lot of chemicals and a lot of other stuff. that could be problematic. So I know training is important, but I find in, so just to kind of, if I can just echo what you said, it looks like how you kind of got past those humps was first getting off the truck. And because if you're spending 8 hours a day on a truck and you're no longer doing that, you got 8 hours a day of free time. I mean, if you're any kind of salesperson, entrepreneur, and you're betting on yourself, you should be able to go out there and drum up some stuff. And then it sounds like just creating SOPs, processes, becoming more efficient, which is I'm huge on efficient because in pressure washing, a lot of guys out there are saying that one truck with two guys can do about 200 to 250 grand. Well, we're doing two trucks, and each truck's doing 500, and that's because we reinvested a lot in equipment and efficiency, and we know we have certain SOPs when we get to a job. We're not sitting there on our phone, wasting time. Everything is about efficiency because we can get to the next job, and I'm sure that applies with holiday lighting.
Well, there are people that'll hear that and go, "There's no way." But those are the people that won't reach out and find out how you're doing that. Because why would we sit here and say something that's not true, right? Like, it's the same with the 30% net margin. You're just not doing it right. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, I would say 90% of entrepreneurs are in the service business are one, two, three-man shops. And that's just the majority. It's the reality. There's nothing wrong with that. You can make good money and a good living doing that, but you still ought to be optimizing and maximizing your profit, no matter what your revenue is, no matter what your size is. If you're a one-man truck, there's always ways to do it better and more efficient, and reaching out to folks and finding out how they're doing it more efficient and maximizing your profit is key, no matter, again, how size you are. Some people don't want to have 10 employees or 30 employees or 50 employees and deal with that. And I understand why, because I've had that. I sold my pest control business because it was doing 12% net margin, and I just kept the Christmas light because it's doing 30, and I'm working a lot less and making similar money. And but the key to that is what you said, like just making sure that you're learning and growing. But if you do want to get to that 10 trucks or 30 trucks or 50 trucks, you've got to get efficient. You've got to follow processes. You've got to implement. You've got to continuously improve. And most importantly, you got to give up some authority. One thing I know 99% is sure is that guy that you hire won't do it as good as you. And you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
You're probably doing the best in the industry or one of the best in the industry. Doing it really good in the industry will still be successful. You'll have happy customers. And if you put in the processes and the continuous improvement, they can improve too to get close to what you are. But entrepreneurs are a rare breed. We're perfectionists. We're going to go back and do it better than anyone. But you can't duplicate yourself. You got to give up some of that control. You've got to accept that, when you give that authority, you give that responsibility over, make sure that you're training them. Like you said, that is a huge part, is training and processes to make sure they're going to do it fairly well, and then continuously train them to where they get better, they get closer to where you want them on the quality level. Sometimes you take one step back to go two forward, is just the fact. But to get to that next level, you got to do that. Sometimes you've got to say, okay, I'm going to hand this over. I'm going to spend more of my time training folks than doing the work myself, and I'm not producing. But once I get them trained, I took a step back. Now I can take two steps forward because I can jump out there and, like you said, I got 8 hours a day now to put
Yeah.
towards
Well, I
growth,
think
marketing.
there's a little bit of sacrifice in there too, because what I find a lot of people is like, dude, I gotta hire somebody. I'm not sure if I have the money for that. Well, it's just like, dude, I think where the money's going is you're letting six figures or $100,000 get to your head. We'll talk about how you guys pay your employees, but pay for performance is a great. We do that. We implemented that in our business too, where they simply only make money by going out there and completing work. So no one's just sitting on the clock consuming a bunch of labor hours and whatnot. And then all of a sudden we have all these labor hours on the books, and we don't know where the money associated is with that. But certainly if you want to get off the truck, I don't believe anyone is going to be on the truck doing $1 million in Christmas lights. You got to get off the truck, and that might mean scaling back your lifestyle a little bit and being smart financially so you can hire somebody. And, but that's what, that's what it's the growing pains.
And that's where I say, like, if you're comfortable being yourself is your business, you're a one-man shop or you're a three-person shop, uh, great. And you don't want to grow there and you're happy with your income, that's great. Not
That's
everybody
okay.
wants to. That's okay. You don't have to make $300,000 a year. You're happy making $100,000 on two or three trucks, and living that lifestyle. But if you can make 120 or 130, 150 by not doing more business, but being more efficient about it, I challenge any entrepreneur to everyone focuses on growth. Like we do webinars once a month to try to encourage our partners to get started early in the year. So we do them all year long. Our attendance is very slow in the beginning. As we get in the summer, it gets bigger. September, October gets a lot of attendance, but everyone wants to just watch marketing and sales videos. If you're at a 20% net margin, you've got to make $10. You got to bring in $10 of revenue to make $2, right? If you can save $2, you make $2. It's so
Mhm.
much easier to improve your margin and your profitability by looking at costs and expenses than it is revenue. So I'm not saying don't focus on growth, don't focus on revenue, because we all need that too. And most companies, me included, is I focus on growth, but you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, I'm going to scale back a little bit on the growth and really put some of my effort. Because to your point, you only have so many hours in a day as an entrepreneur, and you've got to balance where you're putting that time of, you know, employees, paying your taxes, payroll, um, marketing, sales, all the aspects of an entrepreneur. But I think too many companies or too many entrepreneurs are singularly focused on growth when you need to also be looking at your expenses. So I would just challenge any entrepreneur, whether you're one truck or 50 trucks, to really think about, how do I improve my bottom line through processes and training and the things we were talking about.
Yeah, efficiency, equipment, taking care of your stuff,
Efficiencies.
all that stuff's really important. So we kind of talked about how we
Even
got.
like at the beginning of next season, pulling your product. Are you searching for containers? Do you have an organized way of grabbing those customers? Are you scheduling? We're huge on scheduling. So kind of transitioning, if you want, into the paper per performance. We in pest control, we started that, and we dramatically improved our bottom line. And then we did that in Christmas lights, and we went from um, doing $1 million to $1.5 million with fewer people. What that does is not only improve your bottom line, but the employees are making way more money. My
Exactly.
installers make anywhere from 25 to $35, maybe
Yeah.
$40 an
Isn't that
hour, my
crazy?
good ones,
And
because they're
yeah.
no longer smoking cigarettes, they're no longer
No.
texting, they're not scrolling. If you're
Th-
paying by the hour, you're encouraging to smoke cigarettes
Oh
and
yeah. Why
scroll on.
why do I want to get to the next job fast? I'm gonna sit right here and I just pulled up to the job. I'm gonna talk to my friend real quick. I'll tell you
If you're
what,
paying overtime, it's
a lot
even
of power
more.
washing companies out there are, and I talked to one earlier today, and I'm not going to mention by name. He's a good friend. He'll probably watch this video, and it's all fun. But he was telling me that last year that their labor margins were close to 35%, which is crazy. But he runs a success. He runs a big business. He's one of our competitors. But was like, dude, you got to get on P for P, and he's paying your guys hourly. And I was telling him, like, look, the problem with hourly is like you'll have 200 hours in the last 2 weeks or 1 week or stuff, and then you only have a moderate amount of money coming in, which is like, where are all those hours going? They clock in, they take a while, they get breakfast, the tacos, the bathrooms, the smoking, the phones, the conversations with the girlfriends in the middle of the job. There's no hustle and bustle, and then whenever you ask them, hey, do you want another job? At the there's I got another opportunity for you. You want to go out there and complete it today? It's like, oh no, I kind of want to go home, get off the clock. It's just like no one wins. And then when I explain this P for P, I'm like, look, I'm doing this in your best interest because the standard for power washing is 30% labor costs. We are right around 19 to 20 percent labor costs, and our guys make more. Yeah, we're as low as the industry as far as labor costs, but our guys are making probably the highest paid power washing guys I've ever seen. Our last year, our main operator Tech Ryan made $78,000, making
And they're coming
11% per
back, they're not
11%
leaving.
per job.
Yeah, your retaining of the customer of your employees is just skyrockets as well. It solves a lot of problems. You don't have to manage as much. You're not
No,
worried
because they're their
about
own
what are they
managers. They're
doing.
their own managers. They control how efficient they are. I'll pull up to a job and Ryan's like, dude, like he's blowing and going. Like he's telling his helper, hose there, I'm here. When I get to here, this is where we're gonna meet and we're gonna, and he's going. And then when I ask him, hey, like, like holiday lighting. I just got a new holiday lighting customer. You want to get it done today, even though it's like 4 o'clock. Boom, let me see it. Let me go pick up an extra $100 or $150. Whatever the
Even
ticket
better
is.
than that, they'll call our office now and go, hey, do you have any more jobs? I finished early. I mean,
Yeah,
how many times has that happened on the hour? So,
yeah.
to your audience out there, one of the biggest questions that I get, and you may get this, Austin, also, is how do you control quality? Because now they're going to be running through the jobs. For us, any reservices on pay per performance, and for those who don't know what pay per performance are, is it's basically giving them a percentage of the job, at least for us. So we tell them the
Instead of
jobs you're going to
hourly.
have instead of hourly, you're going to have a $4,000. We tell them at the beginning of the day you have a $4,000 worth of revenue on your route today. If they have a 15% um, rate, they're going to get $600. And there's two-man team, they each get $30. Work an 8 hour day, do the math. It's good hourly rate. And that's when they call in at the end of the day, add a couple jobs, and they're making 35 or $40 an hour, making $400 a piece in a day in Christmas lights. They're coming back every year. We have people that just have been with us for 10 years because of that pay performance program. So the way that we do it is you're making enough $300 to $400 a day that if you have an issue, you go out and you do that on your own.
Yeah.
We schedule in their day, and they don't get paid anything extra for it. So the worse quality they have, the lower they make. And the guys who are really good, that are efficient, that efficiency is not just about being fast, it's about being fast with quality. And so the guys that are fast with quality don't lower their hourly rate. They're the ones who make, $30 to $40.
Right.
And the guys that are the teams, we have quite a few females on our teams now too. I find that they're more detail oriented, so
That's
don't
actually
discount
pretty
hiring
cool.
females.
That's awesome.
We have probably 30% of our workforce is females on our teams. Um, and they'll the ones that aren't, that are efficient or running through the work, they're going to make 25 to 30 because they're having to go back out and
Yeah.
solve the problems without pay.
Same
So
here.
it's a self-managing, you no
It,
longer have to manage that.
it
It's
forces them to
amazing. It's like,
self-manage,
okay,
and I don't want to get too long-winded with pay per performance because it's kind of an advanced thing. You kind of, but those of you guys that are
yeah,
brand new, you guys probably go right over your head. But yeah,
yeah.
they're self-managed, and they know that you're not going to get credit unless you go make this right. So they are kind of like their own little independent business owners within our umbrella. They talk to the customer, they make it right, they fix their mistakes, they get their tips, and they get a percentage of the job. It makes them feel like they're
But
part
those of
of.
you out,
It makes them feel like they're
those out in
getting
the
part of the
audience that
revenue.
maybe those in the audience that maybe are larger companies, this really applies to you, where you can really drop 10% to your bottom line like that. It's amazing. The
Yeah.
small folks, if you're independent, it doesn't apply as much. One or two employees, it may not be as effective, but it can work for you too. So
Yeah.
there's lots of information, as Austin said, out online on that. We train that in our program. Go research it, but it can really change your business, it can change your profitability. Again, if you're just a 2 or 3 person business and you drop 10% to your bottom line, you're making, instead of 100,000, you're making 110, 120 now.
I want to kind of cycle into before we kind of come to a closure here. And I know if a lot of you guys are brand new, you guys are probably asking yourselves this question. It possibly could be what you're, on YouTube right now searching for is if you're brand new, if you, and this is kind of what goes into what I said earlier, Scott, if you were to start all over again, what would you do differently? And I want to kind of shift that question into saying, if someone's brand new, if someone's watching this video, they're brand new, like we just talked about, get educated, whether that's in a paid class or on a free YouTube video. How are you, how should that person get up and get going? Are you more going a print marketing type of guerrilla style marketing? Are you talking website and ads? You know, whenever you guys got started, to understand it's 2006, so we didn't really have the power of social media and Google way back then. But maybe right now, where's your head kind of leaning toward right now for a brand new guy?
So I'll just start by talking about the training again. Have to get training. You can't emulate hands-on training in the videos online. So I would suggest find a friend, practice, go to a class that has hands-on. As far as the marketing and sales, no business is a business. I talk a lot about saving money and expenses and processes, but if you don't have any revenue, you're not a business. So you can be the best installer in the world. You've got to do the marketing and sales and build the business. So that's kind of the starting basis, which is, I think, what you're asking about. And for us in 2006, we did flyers on the door. We didn't just do door hangers. We had 8.5 by 11, really color, really nice, high end. We went to the highest area in Dallas, the most expensive properties, and that was our target. Like anything, you can have a whole array. If you're in a market that doesn't have a lot of high end, you can find the middle, upper, middle income areas. But also, like any business, you can only market within your budget. So if you don't have a lot of money to market, there's some simple ways to do that. One of the biggest is the little bandit signs. They're even smaller than the yard signs, but you can use the yard signs too. The bandit signs is basically Christmas light installation and your phone number and email or something simple like that, or your website. The simpler, the better. Just get it out there, and you want to get leads. And it's one of the most inexpensive ways you can do it. You can get a bunch of those printed, knowing that you got to get a lot of them because they'll get pulled up. Competitors will pull them, the city will pull them, but just keep putting them out in corners on the busy intersections, and you'll start to get volume. That in our industry, in the Christmas light industry, that's one of the biggest ways. It's because it's short term. It's that market. Christmas lights is very unusual in several ways. One, it's like an emotional purchase. Birthdays, events, weddings, I'd say funerals, but funerals, people will spend more money than they would normally spend on things. So take advantage of that, getting in front of them at that time. I also still like door hangers and flyers. You can go to a neighborhood and put out, 500 flyers in this area. And if you start getting a bunch of calls, you just stop putting them out till you catch up and your schedule gets open. It can stop and start, unlike postcards or other things where it's in that out in there going for a while. You can really target directly who you want on that. So it's inexpensive. So if you're a startup, you're a one guy or two person shop, go in the evenings. I mean, an entrepreneur to be successful, lets nothing stop them. I
Yeah.
will work my 8 or 10 hour day, and then I can spend an hour or two in the evenings putting out flyers that they're going to get the next morning or they get home from work, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
you got to have that mindset. So be efficient, super efficient in the first couple of years with Christmas lights. Now, if you're a bigger company and you've got, like when we started Christmas lights, I think we had 20 trucks on the road, so we had some money to
with pest
spend.
control.
But with pest control back 20 years ago. So if you're a company now and have that, then I would suggest doing some Facebook. That's a big one now.
And
Is
just to
because
butt
you
in,
can really.
guys, just to butt in, guys. Scott's talking about 20 trucks on the road, but he just informed me before this phone call that, and a lot of you guys are probably like, "Oh man, like he probably piggybacked off his customer list." He didn't even reach out to one of his pest control customers, which would have been my very first thing. That's exactly how we got our customers, like that. Little to no marketing. We took advantage of our already existing customers, which we're talking about if you own a service business, another good way to reach out to your customers. But this is a guy that got to this level having that large of a pest control business and didn't even talk to one of those customers about it. So it's pretty sweet.
It's a little crazy. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that for everyone, but we had a strategy behind that. In pest control, you have a whole gamut of customers. I mean, from lower income to the wealthy, but most of our customers were middle income. And back 20 years ago, 95% of customers were really wealthier folks. So sending out 5,000 emails to customers and knowing that 90% of them aren't going to be able to afford it would have been a complete waste of our time. And
Mm,
so we didn't want to do that. We didn't want customers getting a little
right.
upset
You,
with us
you
because we
wanted to
give them
spend your time
2,000.
on the customers that you know that could do business. I hear you.
And that's why we went into that really high end. That's how we have the Jerry Joneses, Aikman. We do Aikman's house and all that stuff. Is because we were in that really high income area. So each business is different. I mean, that was our strategy. And that's what we did. But nowadays, it's changed a lot. People are much more service oriented. They're much more used to paying people to get stuff done, like Austin said, whether it's your yard or picking up your dog poo. I mean, the people
Yeah.
pay to get that done, and not just rich people, middle income. So a lot more upper middle income are paying for that service now. So it's changed. So I would recommend reaching out. That's probably one of the first things I would do is if you've got a customer list, is put it out there. Now, one of the things that we teach in our class and that I would recommend you doing no matter where you get this your training is having a script that screens your customers. I mean, we don't start by saying, hey, our minimum is $1,500, but it's the second sentence or one of the first things within the first 30 seconds. We let them know our minimum is $1,500. And a lot of people are just oh, that's too expensive for us. And we're like, okay, no problem. Let us know if you have it. We can help you another way. You don't need whatever your minimum is. It could be $100, it be $500. We start off at 500. I think they went to 750, then 1,000. Now it's $1,500 just for us. We don't really want to get into a job unless it's $1,500 or more, just because that's where we are in our
That's where
process
you're
and
at.
growth.
Exactly. Once you get bigger, I feel like, and you have the authority, like, and you have the expenses, you just can't. And you have you have the not the privilege, but you've worked to a point where you don't need to do those jobs anymore. You know, like I said, the beautiful thing is about it, it's the
And that's where the
reoccurring.
new guys come in.
Uh-huh.
That's where the new guys come in. They're perfect for the, five or
Yeah,
six hundred
right.
dollar job. That's what
Yeah.
you can do.
So
10, like I said, you could do $500 jobs. You got a $2,500 revenue day. That's good for almost any business, right?
that's good for
You get a
almost
truck out.
anybody.
So
That's the beautiful thing about this business. It's reoccurring and it just compounds every day. So just to kind of wrap up my question, it sounds like just kind of being, and this is what I talk about in my videos too, just being like in how I got started. And hopefully what we're, if you guys are watching this video, we're not trying to tell you guys what to do. We're just trying to tell you what worked for us simply. So just kind of being like an 8 arm octopus is basically kind of what you're saying. You're doing the flyers, you're doing the yard signs, and kind of like what I talk about is just like, look, dip a little bit in everything. If you're a business owner, you got that grit and that grind. Go out there and see what's going to work for in your area, because certain things that work here don't work over there, and vice versa. But just to also piggyback off what you said, like this is an excitement business, and it's so different from pressure washing, where I get a call and it's like, man, I want to get my patio or my roof clean, and it's just like, do they really want it or need it? Maybe, but it's just something that they're just kind of throwing in the air and seeing what sticks. But with holiday lighting, and you come there, like we talked about with the iPad, that iPad software is a game changer. And this is where I like going in person, and that's fine. People do it differently, but showing them that iPad and be like, look, this is your house, and you see this, and you see the different colors, and you guys do the same thing. You guys are able to pull it off Google, and that's how I understood it from your class. But it just builds excitement, and then all of a sudden, like I remember being on some estimates, and some some of these women and some of these men are like, oh my gosh, like this is exciting, like you guys are gonna come and they're gonna do this, and then they just get completely blown away. It's nice being in a business like that where there's emotion, kind of like buying a car. You buy a car, there's emotion around it. There's a connection. Whereas like pressure washing, it's just like sometimes it can be hard. It can be a little hard, but this is awesome.
I mean, pest control, they want you to kill some bugs. Great. You kill the bugs. There's not very excitement
Yeah.
around it. But you do a nice house and you finish it at night when they see it and the kids come out. It's very rewarding too. We one year, just
Yeah.
a little side note, one year we rented a van and took a bunch of our team leads. They filled up a van with all of our team leads and drove around all Highland Park, because they'll do these jobs and they leave. And a lot of times they don't see the job at night. So it was really
Mm.
rewarding to take all of our team leads. They were so excited to see the work that they did. That's pretty
Wow.
amazing. Uh, yeah, you can see a lot of it on our website. It's awesome stuff. People just they love it, and they rightfully so. It just brightens your day every time you come home from work during the Christmas time is rewarding. So, um, to kind of wrap up what your question was, I would say there's, if you're on the low end of your budget in marketing, you don't have a very big budget, go solicit your current customers. That's the most efficient, effective way. Those bandit yard signs on corners, and then flyers. If you've got more money, more traditional, Facebook, you can do Google paper ads. If you've got some local advertising ways that work for your regular business, it'll work for that too. You just have to spend money. The more, to your point, your octopus 8, 10 different ways of putting it out there is going to increase the leads and your growth. It's just a matter of what your budget is to get there. And that's, on each individual person or company,
Y-
where they
Yeah.
see that fit.
I found like for us, like our number one way of getting our projects this year was one, reaching out to our clients, but two, to my surprise, as opposed to doing this with pressure washing. Like if we do pressure wash a house on a roof and it's literally a night and day difference, I can put a pressure washing sign in that house. Maybe 1% of the time I'm getting calls because people just don't care about pressure washing. There were several houses that we did this year in very high class neighborhoods where it looked fantastic. And we put a holiday lighting sign in there. And these neighborhoods, you got moms and dads walking with their dogs. They just see everything. They're like, holy crap, that's the house that looks like that. And that's the people who did it. I get a lot of calls on that sign. So taking advantage of that, like those little
I
yard
forgot that.
signs.
That's a big one for us too. And not just the signs, but your truck, your van, whatever you're using to do the work, make sure it's logoed. Your Information's on there. People will drive by and write it down. We have all of our guys have cards. People stop and go, "Oh, how do I get a bid from y'all?" And they'll just hand it a card, and then they call the office and get it set up. So that is probably maybe our number two lead source. So that's a great point that I missed, Austin, is that recognition. If your guys are in t-shirts or shirts that are professional looking, your truck, your van is labeled, that gives an instant impression of professionalism. And then the neighbors are going to stop. It's that quick time of year, emotional, like you talked about. They want it. It's there. You've got to be ready to have cards or whatever it is to capture that lead. And it's inexpensive, one of the most inexpensive ways. And they're not going to call other people. You're there. They see your work. They see you. They see your professionalism. More than likely, they're going to call you, give them a bid, and you're going to sell them. So it's a great way to get new customers.
Yeah, man, it's so funny how I completely ignored Christmas lights for 2 years, just saying, I don't need to do it. I don't think it's worth it, all this stuff. And then this year, I just got my mind completely like blown away by this stuff. And now it's just silly not to do it, especially if you have a service business and one of your main problems is keeping employees in the wintertime, keeping the cash flow. Like if a lot of you guys, you might have like debt payments and whatnot and all that stuff. It's nice to have some revenue coming in the winter. So I'm super excited about Christmas lights. And one of the things I want to segue into as well, so because not only are you guys obviously a holiday lighting installation company, which 1.5, 1.6, that's just an installation. What you guys now, for a certain amount of years, is you guys have been offering training, which we've talked about several times, which is what I went to in September. I think, and you can correct me on this, you guys offer this twice a year. And not only you guys do the training, which is a 2-day training installation, and then the business side, you guys also have a full website with all of the equipment, safety gear, the bulbs, the wires, the reefs, the garland. I mean, everything that you could possibly put on a house, you guys have housed on your website. So I've been ordering all my stuff. All the equipment that we use this year has all been certified. It's been an awesome experience. Super fast shipping. If I order it on a Monday, I'm usually getting it on a Wednesday afternoon, which is like super surprising. So that's awesome. So you guys launched into that as far as the lighting.
Yeah, and once I sold my pest control business, we've kind of filled a void with that. We've been going to Asia for our products directly for 12 years now. So we started this 4 years ago. I had 8 years of, you know, factories over there that we were getting our products from, and that's where I thought, look, we're at the point we've got all this information. Let's train other people. And there's to your audience, I know a lot of folks out there will go, you're just creating more people, more companies in the industry. It's going to create more competition. It's going to oversaturate. The reality is every industry, think window cleaning and pressure washing.
Just
There's
churn.
unlimited amount of folks. Not everyone's going to win in that. So
Yeah.
all you got to do is be the better competitor in that business. But
And what a limited type of
competitors are going to come
mindset
in.
too. What a limited type of
It
mindset.
is,
It's just like, oh, I'm
but
not
it
gonna
is
do
a
it because there's
reality
already
of,
people in there. Just like, come on, dude.
but
You're
the
not gonna
thing
be the
I'll tell
first one to
you
do
that
anything.
our comment to that is, do you want people just coming in because they're coming anyway? People are going to start in Christmas lights or window cleaning or pressure washing, or do you want them to come in with knowledge about what proper pricing is, how to do it right, how to take it to the customers? Our goal is to improve our industry. That, when they think professional Christmas lights, they're companies that come in with uniforms, with quality products that do it right, that have guarantees that, for our industry, we're protecting our pricing and teaching people how to make money. You can't price at this amount per bulb, or you're not going to make money. Any good, strong industry has a network of folks that help train the new folks coming in. We feel like that's one of our
That's awesome.
responsibilities, to help new companies come in the right way. And so part of that is providing professional grade products. And we do have a website that has everything from bulbs to, we sell 15-foot walk-through gift box type stuff that we supply to the airports and some of our customers. So we've gotten really big into that. But I go to Asia every year and go talk to the factories. We've created some of our own products that make it more efficient and unique. So we offer a lot of ways that, if you become a partner with us, that we teach you how to do things faster and better, and have come up with unique products that you can offer your customers that help improve the look for the customer, but also your profit and your efficiency. So
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate your business that you have with us. We looking forward to a long-term relationship. I'm very impressed with your first year. I think you're going to hit a home run in year two, because that type of start is what gets you rolling. And it sounds
Yeah.
like y'all didn't have problems. You're going to have a lot of those customers come back.
Yeah, I hope so too. We're excited, and so you guys have the training twice a year. You guys have the inventory that you guys can buy all your product from. One of the other things I think is super cool is the that I think separates you guys apart, especially if you guys are brand new, maybe money's an issue, is your guys' free product advancement program, which I'm gonna paraphrase. It's basically you could essentially order lights and not have to pay up front and then a pay over time with like no interest. Is that, am I?
6 payments starting November 1st. One of the unique things about Christmas lights is when you sell a job, and we teach this, is you should ask for a percentage up front. We ask for 50%. So if you have a $1,000 job, they're going to pay you 500 up front. If you have a 2,000 job, this is in September, October, before you even start installing. So you have that cash flow. But instead of spending that cash flow on getting the product, you can spend that cash flow now on your marketing, and we're going to front you the product, and you start paying the first week in November, 6 payments through December, so that you're already got cash flow that allows you to improve and market and sell and grow your business instead of
Yeah,
spending
you're
all your
talking
money on
about your
buying
existing
product.
customers. Obviously, someone who calls you in November is not doesn't have that opportunity. But just traditionally, so you're
No.
saying on your old customers, you're gonna invoice them in July, half for 50%. That gets you all your possible product, or if you're a new guy, all your product in up front, and then you're gonna charge them the other 50% at installation or at the takedown.
So one thing I'm talking about is the customer themselves. So if you're an installation, Christmas light installation company, and you may not have done this, but you should tell your customers to get on our schedule. You need to pay us 50% now. So we get 50% on every job we sell to get on our schedule before we do anything. And that goes in the bank. Now, if you're not a very good financial person in money management, you got to be careful with that because that's not your money.
Yeah.
That's to go buy the product, pay your workers. But
What a
business is about
scary
cash
situation.
flow. And you
Yeah.
can't, it's very hard to grow if you don't have cash flow. And so this business is unique. And if you get that cash flow up front, what we've done is recognize, because I've been wherever y'all are. I've started at zero multiple times in different businesses. And I recognize that cash flow is king. And so what we're doing is saying, you don't have to pay us for the product in August, September. We'll do an agreement, a PAP agreement, which says you're going to order this, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 of the product, and you're not going to start paying us. You're going to make 6 weekly payments starting in November, the first week of November through the second week of December, and so all of October and part of November, you're
Installing.
banking money to
Yeah.
reinvest. Yeah, installing, paying workers, more marketing, more sales. So
Got it.
I thought it was a good idea, and I tell you, it's our feedback from our partners. We have about 300 partners. Is that's the number one thing you've done that we just appreciate so much, is because we're financing for free basically. It's not a long period, but it's that period what's most important for your cash flow. And so I'm
So
older. I've been successful. I love helping entrepreneurs. We have a lot of one-on-one. We do consultation. I have guys like you, Austin, that started in year one did 61,000. I get super excited about that. It's not even my business, but I'm
yeah.
happy for you because this is going to be a huge piece of business for you in 3 to 5 years. It's just going to bring cash to
Yeah.
you and your family, your employees, and we're all in the same boat, entrepreneurs, and
Uh-huh.
helping other entrepreneurs. I feel like is part of my responsibility of the success and luck and fortune I've had in being an independent
Mhm.
entrepreneur.
So just to kind of sum that up with the product advancement program, you guys will order your product in really July, August. You guys will get all this product through certified. Then that gives you about 60 to 90 days, September, October, November, to do installs, which is going to get money into your bank. Then in November, after you've probably hopefully accomplished a handful of installs, then you start paying. Basically, you get lights for free. It gives you an opportunity to use those lights to go make money. Then once you start making money, you use that money to pay back certified for basically no interest. So if you guys are brand new, or you guys are, maybe, it's your first, second year, maybe cash flow is a problem, especially if you guys are piggybacking off your service business and it's the slow period, definitely a plus working with certified.
And we work with you on that. You have to be approved, but we'll also make sure that you know what are your goals. We're not going to just dump a bunch of product on you. We're only going to give you the product
That you need.
for what makes sense. And the beauty of this product is, if you don't use it, you can send it back to us. The only thing
Oh,
you pay for
nice.
is shipping. So it doesn't make sense for us to try to dump a bunch of product on you. It's not going to help you be successful. The whole point of this program is to help you be successful. So we work closely to try to say, is your goal 5 houses or 50 houses? And then we say, we're going to give you 20 or 30% of that up front, and then you can replenish that as you need. So it's just a stepping stone to get you there. That's kind of what our whole premise is on our partnerships and folks that we work with in the distribution side of stuff is how can we help you get started and grow that business.
Scott, I really appreciate you having me on or being on my podcast here on this video. Hopefully, if you guys are watching, you guys got some value. Scott, I understand that in February you guys are having because you guys do two classes a year. I went to the one in September. You also do one in February. It's the same class that I took in September. What are those dates again?
February 21st and 22nd, and they can find that at www.certifiedlights.com. And
Okay.
then we'll have one in September. So the reason we do that is February is kind of the slowest for every business out there, right?
Yeah,
So that
more
gives
people can
people that
come.
time, and then people start getting interested again as their business is winding down the summer and they're looking towards that season. So we find that the people that come in February are more prepared to do more when they hit the season. September, maybe less, but it gets their foot in the door. They can do 5, 10, 20 houses. Obviously, you did 40 and 61,000. So you can come in September and still be very successful.
Yeah.
It's a pretty intensive training to where you
And the
can hit
cool
the
thing
ground running.
is, I paid $999 times two for that class in September. But Scott with Certified Lights, they're doing a really cool deal for my channel. If you guys want to attend the class in February coming up, I understand it's coming up really soon. But if you guys use my code in my video in the description, you guys will the price goes all the way down to $199. Okay, so super good idea to take advantage of that because I just got done paying $2,000. It was well worth the $2,000. I probably would have paid more. So if you guys want to come to that class, I think 199. You guys should jump on it. It'll be the first link in the description. Make sure you guys get that. And of course, if you guys want to get any kind of material, lights, all that stuff is going to be on their website, like he just said, certifiedlights.com. Scott, you got anything else?
Just if you have questions about any of the material, just in general, thinking, hey, would this work for my business? We're happy to talk to you. info@certifiedlights.com. Somebody will reach out to you and talk everything through. You want to be sure that you want to do it. It's like any new business. It's not for everyone, but it's an exciting, growing business. And if you're interested in adding something, it's a great piece of a great service business to add to any business.
Great. Well, Scott, I really appreciate your time all the way in Dallas, Texas. Certified Lights, $1.6 million a year in holiday lighting. Absolutely insane. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you guys are watching this video, do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers this year. That'd be an absolute blessing. And Scott, thank you so much for your time and take care.
Austin, thanks for having me. It's been fun, and hopefully the audience got some good information today.
Absolutely. Peace, guys.
Thanks.